As we return to my conversation with Nobel Prize-winning economist Joe Stiglitz, author of Rewriting the Rules of the American Economy, an Agenda for Growth and Shared Prosperity, I asked him about the 2016 presidential race and began by playing Stiglitz a clip of Republican contender Donald Trump calling Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders a communist and a maniac.
I watched Hillary last night with, we're going to give this, we're going to give that, we're going to give that. The poor woman, she's got to give everything away because this maniac that was standing on her right is giving everything away, so she's following. That's what's happening. This socialist slash communist, okay, nobody wants to say it.
That's Donald Trump on Bernie Sanders. Explain what Bernie Sanders represents.
First, let me comment. You know, the great irony of that is he's talking about Bernie Sanders and Hillary's putting programs that don't add up. And he's called for a tax cut aimed at the rich that is $1 trillion short. So you talk about somebody who is...
And he said he'd make the hedge fund guys pay.
That's right. No, that's one good thing that he's done, and that the irony is that the hedge fund guys are taxed at a lower rate than people who work, who are actually working for a living. It's one of the real, you might say, anomalies of our tax system. One that is actually very costly to our economy, not just in terms of lost revenue, but induces our best students, my best students, to go into finance, into speculation, and we're wasting our most valuable resource, I think, our human resources.
When instead you would like to see them
go into research, go into creating productive firms, strengthening the productive capacity of our economy. You know, the fact that such a large fraction of our most talented young people go into finance is a worry. It should be a worry to, we've really lost a balance. Now, to come back to Bernie and Hillary, what they're both saying is really points that we raised in Rewriting the Rules. They're saying these are not giveaways. We're saying something is wrong with the way our economy is working. The fact that at the bottom minimum wage is as low as it was 45 years ago, a half century ago, says something. An economy that, we've had technological change, globalization, all these things which are supposed to make our economy better and stronger, and yet at the bottom, they haven't had a pay raise in a half century. It's not a living wage. So that's all he's calling for. He's calling for a living wage for ordinary Americans. And they're both calling for, we're a wealthy enough economy that we should be able to provide the basic requisites of a middle-class lifestyle for all Americans.
Earlier this month, Democratic presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders was asked if a socialist could ever win a general election in the United States. This was in the debate.
Well, we're going to win because first we're going to explain what democratic socialism is. And what democratic socialism is about is saying that it is immoral and wrong that the top 1/10 of 1% in this country own almost 90%, own almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. That it is wrong today in a rigged economy that 57% of all new income is going to the top 1%. That when you look around the world, you see every other major country providing health care to all people as a right, except the United States. You see every other major country saying to moms that when you have a baby, we're not going to separate you from your newborn baby because we are going to have medical and family paid leave like every other country on earth. Those are some of the principles that I believe in, and I think we should look to countries like Denmark, like Sweden, and Norway, and learn from what they have accomplished for their working people.
That's Democratic presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders. Hillary Clinton weighed in the same CNN debate.
When I think about capitalism, I think about all the small businesses that were started because we have the opportunity and the freedom in our country for people to do that and to make a good living for themselves and their families And I don't think we should confuse what we have to do every so often in America, which is save capitalism from itself. And I think what Senator Sanders is saying certainly makes sense in the terms of the inequality that we have. But we are not Denmark. I love Denmark. We're the United States of America, and it's our job to rein in the excesses of capitalism so that it doesn't run amok and doesn't cause the kind of inequities that we're seeing in our economic system.
So that's Hillary Clinton. You advise Hillary Clinton?
I talked to her, yes.
So her response, we're not Denmark, as a put-down to Bernie Sanders.
Well, it's a fact we are not Denmark, but the question is whether the United States is rich enough to be able to make sure that everyone has a basic right to health care, family leave, parental, sick leave. We are exceptional. Whether we are a society that should tolerate the levels of inequality that we have. I think Bernie Sanders is right about that, and I think that Hillary is right that one of the strengths of America should be that we can give opportunity for small businesses. Actually, Denmark and Norway do that as well. So, what I would say is that Bernie is absolutely right that the providing the basic necessities of a middle-class society should be the right of everybody in our country.
Nobel Prize-winning economist Joe Stiglitz, author of the new book, Rewriting the Rules of the American Economy, an Agenda for Growth and Shared Prosperity. To see Part 1 of our conversation, go to democracynow.org.